Welcome to this week's episode of Social Rounds. Check out our website, Hippocratic-Collective, for more shows and content like this.
Hello. My name is Tony Chin-Quee.
And I am Frances Mei Hardin.
And welcome once again to Social Rounds, the podcast in which two of the happiest surgeon dropouts you'll ever meet give our unsolicited opinions on the states of medicine, the world at large, pop culture, and whatever else we happen to find interesting. Frances Mei, guess what? It's episode 2.
Woo!
And just a little peek behind the curtain, we record these episodes like all together, like in batches, because Frances Mei and I are extremely busy and important. So this recording is actually happening before episode 1 has come out. So I thought it might be fun if we made some predictions on the degree of overwhelming success and positive responses we likely received after episode 1. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we did a quick outfit change. I am wearing my Eras sweatshirt. It's possible that episode 1 got so big that it actually reached, news of it reached Taylor Swift's team. And then they had
Wow.
some concerns about my true fandom.
And you had to let them know.
Yeah,
Because I mean, our reach on this podcast is just unbelievable. That's what's blown me away. Like, people all over the world, I've been getting messages, DMs, just different time zones, just being like, "Guys, we need so much more of this, never stop."
all over the world, people of all ages as well. Your babies have been calling in. Your grandma wants to come join social rounds.
She did call in. It was pretty impressive, and, I have real small kids. They're tiny, but they found their way to the keyboard, and they were just like, "You know what? We need more social rounds. And you know what? We're here to give it to y'all. We're having a great time. So we're just going to jump in. As always, we start with news. So this is the segment in which we'll give our rapid fire takes on the recent inside baseball medical news, also some outside baseball medical news, and what's dope and or questionable in pop culture. So here's a really interesting one we're going to start with. So just like a little context here. So we come from a profession that causes its workers incalculable moral injury. So for those um aren't well, I mean, lots of us have heard that phrase before, but just as a definition, just so we're on the same page. So moral injury, it was originally a military term that described the emotional wounds soldiers had when their duties forced them to relinquish their values. So think about that. And now we take that and we bring it into medicine, and it generally refers to this kind of sense of moral transgression that clinicians may experience when the system prevents them from meeting patients' needs, or even more broadly, makes us do things or perform things that go against our values. So, in a world in which that's the case in our profession, is there any way in which we can reclaim agency and even find joy in the workplace? So we saw an article by Dr. Lisa Rosenbaum, who's an excellent writer, and she's a podcaster. She has a show through the New England Journal of Medicine called Not Otherwise Specified. And in this article, she explores um, that she's basically trying to, note that all of our attempts to find wellness for physicians, it often centers on doctors working less, having more breaks, more days off, all that sort of stuff. And apparently, she feels that after talking to several folks, that with these changes, apparently nobody's actually meaningfully happier. So, should the quest for wellness focus more on finding more meaning in the work we do instead of asking us to find meaning outside of work? So, despite all the systemic factors that are working against us, is that where we should put our energies? And so, Frances May, my question to you then, because, and this kind of touches back on some stuff we were talking about last time. So we both do a lot of talking and podcasting about what's wrong with medicine, and I think that is definitely super important. it's important to the discourse. It lets us say things that a lot of folks feel they're afraid to say about the industry of medicine, and all the structural bullshit that we have to deal with. But are we, which one of your tweets kind of maybe alluded to, are we doing a disservice by not discussing pathways to actually finding joy, and meaning in the actual work that we do? Because not everybody can walk away. Not everybody's going to leave. In fact, I know we're an extreme minority. So, are we missing an opportunity here, um, to help people find joy in what they're doing?
I would argue I am not. What's for me
Okay.
won't miss me. You know, I think that um, excuse me, I have a lot of thoughts here.
Hmm.
For people who are stuck, especially like in a malignant work environment, something like a really awful residency program, and they just need to run out the clock for 1 or 2 or 3 years. This is why I created Rethinking Residency and all of the DBT really resources that can be applied to medicine and like to the learner in graduate medical education. So I would say that creating those resources, while that isn't a direct response to this, it's definitely not like the path towards just extreme joy in a malignant environment, but it is like, we don't want to lose you. We don't want you to die because of a
Hmm.
malignant work environment or even like live half a life. I fell
Hmm.
into the living half a life category. So I do believe very much in tools that can help people like cope in a healthy way when the workplace is very ill. In terms of finding joy and meaning in the work, here's my personal take, which I know I'm only speaking for myself here.
Hmm.
I always found meaning and joy in the work of doctoring, I would say. I would say, and I'm like one of the surgeons who like loves clinic. Like I loved it more than probably any other surgeon I've ever met. So taking care of patients, talking to them and their families, every time somebody's doing well with head and neck cancer, like I would just say that was always super, super meaningful. Even people, even if it's not cancer, it's just like somebody doing really well after a fess for their sinuses. Like I
Hmm.
actually would say that I experienced all of that. Like I wasn't immune to it. I wasn't jaded about it. That was always really meaningful. And I felt it. And it meant something very real to me when I was in clinical practice and in medicine. And I just genuinely for me though, all of the awful stuff even outweighed that. And
Hmm.
I'm not going to apologize for that, I don't really curb my language regarding that, but like, yeah, the abuses that were suffered and like really the way that women are treated in medicine, especially in surgery, like it was not worth it. And I think that that's even sadder. People don't like to hear that. They don't want that to be the case that like, I mean, I loved things about clinical medicine. Those relationships were meaningful and they still weren't enough for me to say, yeah, I'll just give up any shot I have at happiness as a person to stay in this system.
Hmm. No, I think we're 100% in agreement on this. For me, when I hear, takes like this, like just find more, maybe we should as a community focus more on, finding more meaning in the work, and then, we'll be able to overcome the systemic things that are trying to destroy us all the time. Completely don't agree with that. And honestly, kind of got me hearing in my head like, oh, they're trying to push us into that whole, embrace medicine as a calling thing, which makes me
Mhm.
furious. Like, I hate that. And I think there was even like a quote in this particular article where someone she was interviewing said, like, yeah, like that's what I dig into when things get tough. It's just, this is what I'm meant to do, and all that stuff. Like, come on, man. Like, I think putting that out there even as an example is really dangerous and a disservice to most of us, right? Like,
Mhm.
it's just like, yeah, we want to be doing good. And there are certain parts of the job that, yes, we get so much joy from, but do we get renewable energy from it? That's the question, right? Like, I loved teaching. Like, I loved being like a senior resident only because, like, I was able to make the environment a little bit better for the
Yep.
folks who were coming up behind me.
Yeah.
Like, to the point where, like, we had this, like, monstrous head and neck, uh, rotation that everyone's head and neck rotation sucks. Like, it's really intense and whatever. It's our big cancer rotation for those who aren't in ENT. Um, and, like, to the point, like, I spent 2 months on it with my junior resident who's, like, a 2nd year or a 3rd year, to the point that, like, she thought she might want to do head and neck. I think it was just because I made a good environment for her, and then I graduated, and she was like, "I don't know what I was thinking. This is the worst." But, knowing, like, I could form those kind of relationships and help folks through, like, that's, like, super, super meaningful to me. Did it make me like my job even more? Did it f ha w Was it giving me wellness to know that? No. It, like, helped me get up enough in the morning to show up,
Yeah.
but, like, I knew that it was killing me, you know? So, like,
It's a matter of degree, like, really,
yeah.
I mean, all of the think about even think about the Gottman Institute, actually, I think this would be a good example, they do a lot of relationship
Ooh,
research,
taking
right?
it to
And
the
so
God, I know the relationship research
yeah,
for the Gottman,
exactly,
yeah.
we are, because that's the type of stuff that I actually want to, like, platform and amplify. So Gottman
Mm,
Institute, they talk about positive and negative bids in a relationship, right? And I'm going to paraphrase, certainly we can link in the show notes the real data, but something like when you're in a long-term relationship with someone, right, you would want ideally 9 out of 10 bids to be positive and 1 out of 10 can be negative. And a bid is something like you get home from work and it's like, "Hey, the craziest thing happened today." And then your partner doesn't look up, right? They don't even look up.
mm,
They aren't like, "Hello, I'm greeting you. I'd like to hear that weird thing." That's a negative bid when they don't do that. And a positive bid would be like, "Hey, okay, I'm excited. Like, hit me with the crazy thing that happened today," right? Positive bid. I do think that there's this element of like how much we want that from our jobs, right? Like, how often do you want to feel seen by your job or respected or valued by your job versus how often do you want to feel like a worm at your job?
mhm,
And I would just
mhm,
argue, I totally get it. Work is work is work. People in my comments say that every day. Oh, wow, your work is hard. Work is work. But I do think that if you feel like a worm 90% of the time at work, there is a problem with that work environment and it's going to play out in your not only mental but physical health.
mhm. I mean, far be it from us to have the complete audacity to think that our jobs, our occupations should validate us 1 out of 10 times, like
Yeah, well,
a
I want it to
day
be
or a
more than
year
1 out
or a
of
week.
10.
It
Yeah,
really
yeah,
should be more than 1 out of 10 because
yeah.
that 1 doesn't outweigh the other 9. And, like, I just think, yeah, all these work is work people, I get it. I understand. I understand most people just work to work. They're like, yeah, the job sucks, but it's a job and I have it and I gotta do it. I understand that and I understand that position. Um, I just think that I can't speak for anybody else's occupation. I can only speak for ours. Um, if the only validation that you get is created by you in your own head, a la what this article was kind of saying.
Yeah.
um, that that is not enough, dude. Like, yeah, you need your job to be like, you know what? You're doing a good job. Not just you're doing a good job, but I see you, Frances May, what you bring to this space as something valuable. And they reinforce that. And it doesn't take a lot. We don't need a lot. But it's like,
No.
it would just take so little on their part, but they don't
Yeah,
do it. And
and
the fact that the world is saying, you know what, figure it out on your own, get your own delusion going so that you can continue doing your
mhm.
job. Get out of here, dude.
Yeah, and I love that. I think that just even early on, you hit the nail on the head. It puts the onus on like the employee. And it's like, whoa, 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 there's nothing wrong with the institution. Like, we do fine. You need to revamp it in your head, rework it so that it's palatable. And I am going to push back on that. But even more so, Tony, I love that you shared this article. I know that you, our producer, Hannah, you guys took all this time to prep like a really thoughtful inside baseball piece. But I
So
have to
thoughtful.
hit
Hannah's
you.
very thoughtful, everybody. Just FYI.
Yes.
More
Yes.
thoughtful than I am. I just throw this stuff up.
I gotta tell you, I'm gonna share some background here.
Oh, damn.
You pulled an article written by my husband Collins. He has publicly stated his number one nemesis in the world,
Shut the
and I
fuck
can
up.
tell you why.
Why? Yes!
Yeah, yeah.
This is gonna be
I know. I
awesome.
I need to tell you why. Hopefully this does not like hopefully the show doesn't blow up so fast that this reaches back to camp. But yeah, I will tell you why. I have it pulled up right
Yes!
here. This is a New England Journal of Medicine and Society article.
Okay.
It is, let's see, 2024. Yeah, it came out in 2024 with a decent splash just in the GME circles, right?
Mhm.
This is kind of part of why Tony and I are here. Like, this didn't make a big splash in the greater sense because nobody cares about GME. But like within this tiny echo chamber of the powers that be in GME, it is called Being Well While Doing Well, Distinguishing Necessary from Unnecessary Discomfort in Training.
Mm.
We do not have time today for me to read the whole thing aloud to Tony, but you bet I'm going to send it to him and we're going to have some words about it because I get mad just like thinking about it and looking at it. I will read you a couple little snippets. Um, so she shares some different case studies, this push and pull when every ill feeling is labeled, quote, trauma, end quote. Distinguishing among harms of varying magnitudes becomes difficult, as does targeting interventions to root problems. Capturing this in precision in a column describing how the language of trauma has permeated our culture, New York Times opinion writer Jessica Bennett asks in the headline, if everything is trauma, is anything? And I love that because she can argue that she didn't say that. Jessica Bennett said that.
Mhm.
It's just a quote from her. I mean, one that she chose to embody the scenarios that she's describing. That's actually not unlike me saying, this is Colin's number one enemy in the world. I'm not the one who wrote a response article to this. Actually, Colin did. And we can link that in the show notes as well. But here's what I want to share.
Yeah.
This is a person who, as you know, is pretty high up at MGH, BGH, however that current setup looks, and
MGB.
also in this
MGB.
academic literature powerhouse.
Mhm.
So this is a very, very powerful voice. Interestingly, and this is something she's talked about even in this article, her mom is a cardiologist. So this is not a person who comes from like what we came from.
Yeah.
I actually think having a parent as a physician
Her grandfather's a physician. That was in the last article.
and her mom.
Or this art. Yeah,
But
yeah.
then I'm saying, Tony, so yeah, you're just saying this goes even farther back than
She's a legacy. Mhm.
her mom, very well known. They've done interviews together. She cites her mom in this article. So that is just already a difference. But here's playing the game is a section of this article. During an away rotation in medical school, I received feedback from a renowned attending, or more precisely from his fellow to whom he'd outsourced the unfun task. We were walking up the stairs when she launched into a valiant attempt at a feedback sandwich and then fumbled. It's just what? I asked. After a few false starts, she indicated I came off as too youthful, perhaps unserious, definitely naive. Maybe you could change your hair, she suggested. I reached back to find my hair in a ponytail as usual. Or your voice, she said. My voice? I asked self-consciously. How can I change my voice? She acknowledged that it was difficult. We just want what's best for you, she said. This interaction has stuck with me, but it didn't harm me. Though I loved parts of
Mm.
medical school, I disliked the way that our daily lives, particularly in the clinical years, felt like a performance, a game I wasn't sure I wanted to play. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, that's a problem, man. Okay, so here's what I think. As far as because I love that we're getting into this, because I think this is something that we gotta get into. This idea of necessary discomfort, in training. I understand that. And to a certain degree, we gotta be careful with this, but a certain degree, I agree with it. Like, because of the nature of what we do, right? Like, in order to get good at what we do, like, and to navigate, the difficulties of taking care of patients, learning all the stuff we need to learn to take care of them, their families, like deal with the system, all that sort of stuff. We're not gonna get stuff right. It's going to be very challenging in ways that we can't anticipate. And so, like, and there are gonna be times where we're tired, when we're work too hard, with like all this stuff. I get it. It's not supposed to be a walk in the park. I understand that. By nature, it's difficult. But what we cannot do is allow a mantra like that to excuse bad and hurtful behavior from people in our world as just part of the normal knocks of this life and what it should be. Like to put a quote like that where you're told by your superior that, you know what, to do better at this job, you just need to change all of this. Like all of who you are, what your voice sounds like, where your hair is at, like all that sort of stuff. And just and then to tell folks like, you know what? That was tough love, y'all. That's what it looks like. Like that's not. That's terrible. And like that stuff we should not be amplifying as normal. And I saw like a little bit of evidence of like in the article that I shared with
Yeah,
you today
the
with the
same
person
thing.
she interviewed. It was just like, oh, like she was just like, oh yeah, I embraced, the difficulties and the tough feedback I got. Like it was the best thing that could have happened to me. Fuck out of here, man. Like that's
That's why it's concerning. I'm just saying that this is a person who is, like, pretty high up
I
and
agree.
influential within GME. Like, I can
Yeah.
just tell you that this being well while doing well, distinguishing unnecessary from necessary discomfort in training, I will tell you that a lot of attendings saw this and loved it, and they used it
I'm
as an
sure they ate it
excuse
up.
to
Yeah.
continue to treat trainees really poorly. So, like, actually, if I did have like one antagonist to the type of work that I actually am trying to do, I would probably say it's someone like this person or just this person. And to your point, we're both, we both do emergency airways. We did in a past life, right? I
Mhm.
100% get the importance of being able to perform under pressure while sleep deprived, not eating and drinking, right? I still, my body hasn't like unlearned those things. I can just not pee for easily 24 hours. Easily. I'm trying
That's
to
a little
like
long.
get no, hey, I was a surgeon. I don't need to do
Yeah,
it.
I
I
don't
mean,
think your body should have to do that, but the fact that you can just will it into, practice,
I'm
maybe
just not
maybe it's a good thing, maybe it's troubling and you should get checked, but
I'm
I don't know.
trying to unlearn it. I'm trying to unlearn it. I'm just saying, like, these are the things. Here's what I will tell you. And
Alright,
guess what? This lady has not done an airway emergency. I know that because that's not her line of work. I can tell you most people entering this unhelpful discourse online, they've never responded to an airway emergency, secured an airway in an emergency like that. Guess what?
probably not.
The most that's that should be here's how I'd phrase it. That should be the most discomfort that I've ever experienced in my life. It is terrifying and it is uncomfortable, and that should be number 1, and it's fucked up that it doesn't even rank on the top 100 uncomfortable things that's happened to me in the past several years, right? This is kind of the problem. That should be the discomfort, and that should be where, like, the brunt of the focus is, but it wasn't because they actually made it so awful in a myriad of other ways that stuff just fell by the wayside.
I mean, yeah, we've gone deep on this, guys, and I think it's for good reason. Like, this is a big deal, especially in medical education right now. Um, the stances that people are taking on wellness, what it means, how it can be uh encouraged, and how folks can like maintain the status quo uh while they say they're changing. That's the whole thing going on right now, and we're here to kind of poop on that. So we'll be back to that sort of stuff, but let's move it along. To outside baseball news. So, this is out medicine in the world. Now, this is something I didn't really know was popping like this, but Frances May, I don't know. You let me know. Nitrous oxide is hot right now. Is what's happening in the streets as a recreational drug, the thing that you get at the dentist. Um, uh, it's causing brain damage and people are having problems. Um, as an inhalant, like apparently, like it used to be really easy to like get from smoke shops and stuff. Um, uh, like whippets, that's what these were. Like that was never my game. Like I didn't know about all that. But apparently they took it off the market as like an inhalant because, we shouldn't encourage people inhaling nitrous. However, you can still get it pretty cheap because this is the thing that helps make whipped cream. And so you can get it as a cooking supplement. And it's marketed in really fun, please buy me young people names as like Galaxy Gas and like Baking Bad, apparently, which I actually really like. It actually
I
makes me
like
want
that.
to, look it
Yeah,
up.
it makes
And
me wanna
I,
yeah.
and then I was just like, I just went on Amazon. Actually, I was like, is this like for real? Like, can I just get it? And like, yeah, you could just get it, just like on Amazon. So kids are like, it's a cheap way to like get super high. Like, it works really fast, but it has a long list of adverse symptoms, such as, let's see, abnormal blood counts, asphyxiation, blood clots, frostbite, headache, impaired bowel and bladder function, lightheadedness, limb weakness, loss of consciousness, numbness, palpitations, paralysis, psychiatric disturbances, tingling, trouble walking, vitamin B12 deficiency, and death. So, you know, don't do it. uh, I understand based on what the high looks like, it sounds like it's fun, but apparently it can get very addictive. So I don't know, Frances May, your thoughts on cool kids partying with nitrous?
I mean, yeah, I have a lot of questions about how you introduce this. You were like, "Anyway, you know me, I'm on the straight and narrow. I don't personally know a ton about this scene. We'll let Frances May report from the front
I
lines
didn't
of,
say
like,
I was
youths."
on the straight and narrow.
It was
I haven't been
implied.
on this
It's
particular
implied.
step off the narrow.
And he's like, "Frances May will report what kids are up to these days." For
That is true.
I'm
She is of the youth. She knows all your words. I'm an old man. I really am trying to keep up.
I wind down for bed at, like, 8:30, so I do not think that people are doing nitrous during my waking hours. I will tell you that, or at
Okay,
least
okay,
it
yeah.
has not come across my desk. I this is crazy. Like, no, this is breaking
Had you
news to
heard
me.
about was this
No.
had you heard about this being a thing? I didn't
No, and
know.
I will say, like, I haven't seen it when I was in clinical practice. I mean, thankfully, I didn't see stuff like this. In ENT, we just get the much more straightforward, normal, like, cocaine, septal perforation type stuff, and I've seen a fair
Like
bit
the
of that.
good old drugs
Yeah, exactly,
that
like,
we understand.
back in my day, just squirting a bottle of Afrin and then doing a bunch of cocaine was just fine. People didn't
That's
have this
just a
fancy.
Tuesday night, guys. Now you got all sorts of, you gotta you gotta go culinary shopping to get high at your what are those music festivals? What are they what are they called?
Well, Bonnaroo's one out here, but then no,
Bonnaroo's,
what's
all
the
those
one in the
desert
desert?
ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Burning Man, Burning Man. Oh,
Burning
man, it took us
Man's.
too long to figure it out. Hannah was, like,
Yeah.
looking
Oh
worriedly,
dear. Oh no.
mouthing it. Yeah, Burning Man, Burning Man.
Oh man, we're not with it, guys. We're not in these streets anymore.
But
We
you should
tried our
definitely
best.
not do it. I agree
Yeah,
with
don't
I
do
agree with
it.
Tony. Don't do it.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I'd be interested to hear if, like, the medicine docs have to look out for it more in their, like, peds patients.
Yeah, get at us. Get at us in the emails. Let us know what you've seen about in the world of nitrous because I just I haven't been in there. But anyway, let's move on. That was a fun one. This is even more fun, guys. So this is just from the world of Florida. And if you know the stories about Florida man, here's a great one about Florida man. So, okay, let me just paint the picture for you guys, right? So, okay, lady is having a birthday party for her son at Chuck E. Cheese, right? She gets home and she's like, oh, weird, my credit card's missing. Let me check up on that. And then there's like a bunch of fraudulent charges. So, lady went to one of the stores where the charges were going down and they let her see the security tape around the time of the transaction. But I didn't even know you could do. I thought you had to be police to get access, but apparently, this is a white lady in Florida, and so she sees the tape and she recognizes the dude on the video as one of her servers at Chuck E. Cheese. So then, lady goes to the cops, and the cops roll into Chuck E. Cheese during Chuck E. Cheese hours, right? And they identify the dude and they start asking some questions. The guy's like real shifty. He's like, I don't know, I don't know what you guys are talking about, getting real jittery, right?
I
So
didn't see
then,
anything.
yeah, I ain't seen nothing. So then the cop says, all right, I'll be right back. And like walks outside and leaves dude inside Chuck E. Cheese to like get backup or something. And he comes back and the dude is gone. He has disappeared from the premises. However, there is now a Chuck E. Cheese life-size mascot walking through the restaurant talking to the kids where there was no Chucky before. All
Yep.
right. So they're slowly, the cops of Florida are slowly putting these pieces together. And they ask the coworker, like, hey, like, is the dude just in the costume right now? And like this coworker snitchily nods her head. We're gonna come back to that. And then they told Chuck E. Cheese in with the head I saw the picture of this, with the head still on,
Oh
tells
my
him to
god.
stop resisting, put the cuffs on Chuck E. Cheese in front of the children. And what they say in the article, the quote from the article is, "They read the mouse his Miranda rights." And then they perped him, they perp walked him out. All right. I love this story for multiple reasons. And Francis May, I just want to know your thoughts on mascots, credit card fraud, and Florida in general.
This is heavy stuff, Tony.
It's outstanding. I've been thinking about this a lot today.
Read the mouse his Miranda rights is so good. That we should put that on merch for social rounds.
Yep,
The
that's
photo of
it.
him getting perp walked out is incredible. Well, obviously, um,
We'll
we're
have to
gonna
link it in the show
we'll
notes
link it, we'll
somehow.
pop
It's
it up.
an
You need to
Yeah.
see this. Um,
It's a tough look, guys. These kids. What about the children? You know what I'm saying?
I'm positive that this is, like, going to be some of their first memory ever. Like, you know, people will be like, "Oh, what was your first memory?" Sometimes it's like, "When I visited my grandpa in the hospital." And it's like, "When I was at Chuck E. Cheese and he got arrested, semi-violently, you know, at my birthday party." I like not a ton about Florida. I don't like, you know, credit card fraud or anything like that, but
We don't like that. We
I
don't
do
like
think that
credit
this
card
is
fraud.
a hat trick of all the things that I associate down there, right?
These are some of the best things that could possibly happen in Florida, all in the same story. You're absolutely right.
It would be more Florida if a guy, like, rode an alligator in at the
I
end.
was wondering where the chest work was, like, who's gonna take the shirt off in this story, but
Yeah.
it didn't happen, sadly.
Well, you can only fit so much good stuff into one story. I also, like you alluded to, I like the vigilante justice of this lady just, like, showing up and reviewing
Wasn't that something?
security footage. Yeah, love.
Something I would never think was just allowed.
Yeah, I don't think they'd
And
show it
I
to you
was just
either.
like, I feel like I could see this lady in my head, and I've met her before, and I know her haircut, and I know how she walked into that place and said, "Imma need y'all to show me the footage. Just pull it up now." They just did that shit.
Amazing,
I
amazing.
think it's great. Florida rocks. Guys, keep it up. I want more of your stories. It's fodder for us. We're having a great time. And I
Florida
think yeah,
man, yeah, yeah.
Florida man
I'm
doing
sure that
Florida
there's a
stuff.
lot more good stuff for us to cover in the future. I'm excited to introduce our next segment, Social Rounds. This is
Yes.
where me and Tony are your life attendings,
Mm,
right? No offense, but maybe some offense. It's abundantly clear that there's not enough guidance and strong role models out here. And we have the kind of wisdom that comes from completely running out of fucks to give.
we're happy to be your role models any way you need us. So what's the question this week?
How do you maintain hygiene in residency?
My answer to this is with great difficulty. Um, because I mean, guys, I was a dirt ball in residency. I'm not gonna lie to you. Okay, I had this. Oh, geez. So okay. Um, I really should have. So you know how. So at the hospital, and maybe if you don't know, there are these machines where
Mhm,
you put in old scrubs
mhm,
and you just get new scrubs, right?
mhm.
Um, at some point, I just felt that the act of bringing in old scrubs and putting them into this machine was like a step too far that I didn't have time for. And so I was always wearing dirty scrubs. There's this flashing back, guys, to episode 1 where I talked about how filthy we
Stay
are
away
in our
from the
scrubs.
produce. You were just talking
Yeah,
to
stay away from
yourself.
the
I mean,
produce because I was really speaking to myself because all I did was get in my car, go to work, be gross at work, and then go home. So when I wore my dirty scrubs to work, I didn't exchange them for clean scrubs. What I would do, because I figured this out, is I would just grab some uh some of those footy coverings
Yeah.
that you could just get out of the box,
Yeah.
or like some hats, and I
Bouffants.
would put those into the dirty part of the machine to
Mhm.
trick it into giving me more new clean scrubs, because my old scrubs were like in a pile at home that I would just sniff in the morning and see which one smelled the least dirty and just keep wearing it. So I would just keep getting new scrubs, wearing them till they were dirty, and just put them in a corner in my house.
This is
Um,
called depression, folks. We'll call
yeah,
this resident depression.
this is what depression looks like in, when you're active and you gotta be on your feet, right? So, I'm not a great person to ask is what I'm telling you, about about cleanliness and hygiene, because I took great pains to be disgusting.
And not only that, but honestly, even by the end of my residency, I think the machines got a lot smarter, Tony. Like they because of
Good
because of
for
I
them.
heard about issues like that
Because of
where
guys
they were
like me.
feeding yeah, they were feeding like trash into the other one and you had to make the trash be the same weight as what a dirty scrub would be. I
Like,
think they were
I
weight based.
stacked several foot coverings on top of each other to get the scrub weight so I could get
Yeah,
new
exactly,
scrubs.
to trick the machine. I know, they're just getting
Is
smarter and smarter.
problematic.
So,
Yeah, I'm
I
glad they got
will
smarter, because 'cause don't be like me. That
I
yeah.
guess my question is, did you live alone?
Yes, very alone.
Honestly, I'm sure that would be me. Like, you guys know, I'm not gonna pretend. I'm not gonna posture and be like, "That's gross, Tony." Like, I took
You
very
could.
good care of
You would be
myself.
correct.
No, but I mean, I did not take any more care of myself during
Mhm.
training, but I did live with Colin the whole time. And I do think that because of that, like, I actually think I made many honest attempts at making scrubs piles and stuff like that. Like, I definitely tried. He just made sure that we didn't live like that. And I
That's
totally
nice. It's
yeah,
nice to have, like, a partner in a house who is trying not to be a dirtball.
yeah. I think that what's so interesting when we talk about hygiene, one of the areas that was so frustrating to me is that, um I have, like, some sensory stuff. I make sure, my hair is always clean and pulled back in a ponytail and stuff like that. It air dries. Like, I definitely had a low maintenance routine, didn't wear makeup, hair air dried. So, I feel like I was good about staying on top of that type of stuff because, like, showering, taking a long bath, that's, like, very self-soothing to me too. So, I mean, we definitely
Nice.
could not lose, like those were some of my I actually I took things much too far mid-residency. Um, I actually got in trouble, had to go see a doctor because I basically people say take baths to relax. I was taking at the worst points of my residency up to 3 baths a day. And
How?
I was like, I have to go
Where
get
were all
antibiotics
these
now.
baths?
Where?
Yeah. Oh, you were
What do you
too
mean
clean
where?
and
In
you
my
got antibiotic
house.
what's the you're in
This
residency?
is like TMI. You
How
can
many
get a yeast infection if you just take too
you
many.
just sit in your juices for, like,
Well, no, it
that
changes
amount
your
of time?
vaginal pH. You just can't you can't marinate for, like, endless
Exactly.
hours. It's too much.
The
It's too much.
guys if there's anything to take away from this conversation, mind your vaginal pH. It's one of the honestly, we're not talking about that enough. And, like, you gotta understand, even when you're trying to stay extra clean, vaginal pH.
Yeah, you just
It could
they
dip
tell
or it
you
could climb, and it could be terrible.
this is what I'm talking about, though. People, they're like, "Oh, are you stressed? Is work making you suicidal? Like, light a candle, take a bath." Like, picture me 3 baths a day surrounded by open lit candles. There is
And these
such a thing.
before work and after work baths,
No,
like,
just
where's the time? Baths take a while.
yeah, just kind of like, I don't know, multiple and maybe beginning and end of evening or maybe on a weekend. We took home call too. So, I mean, I was at home a decent amount, just always at risk of like having to run in. And it was not uncommon. I would get paged out of the bath
Out of the
and stuff
bath.
like that. Then I'd be like, gotta hit the bath again when I get home.
I
It's
got
just,
to hit that
and it,
bath.
it did not work. Like, it didn't effectively make me a calmer person. It just messed with vaginal pH.
Oh,
And so,
no.
um, be careful, like, stay safe out there. And this is
Yeah, yeah,
also
no, say that. This is it's tough. You're seeing the 2 extremes here. Like, and I do wanna get this out there. I was showering, okay? Like, I did, like, wash myself. I just didn't wash my clothes. And so I don't know if those things cancel each other out, and
they don't
ultimately, I was
cancel.
just kind of okay. No, 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 it's all
I'm
disgusting.
glad that you were showering, but I'm not positive that they cancel each other out. Hannah, the producer, it doesn't look like it
No,
passes the test.
Hannah's not convinced,
No.
of either of us at this point. It's
Yeah.
very troubling.
I know,
Sorry,
she's
guys,
like, "I
we
gotta
didn't
get
give
off."
you any advice in that segment. We just said, like,
What
"Hey,
not to do.
this is what not to do. Try to wear clean scrubs. Don't be a dirtball who tricks the machine, and also, apparently, there's a limit on your bath times. Um,
There is a
mind the
limit.
vaginal
I
pH,
pushed the
guys.
edges of science on that, trying to
Really
relax.
pushed them too far. Vaginal pH, we're putting that on. That's what's going on the merch. Mind your
Mind your
vaginal pH.
vaginal pH.
Mind your vaginal pH. Okay, great. Now for segment 3, here's a new segment. So we're gonna wrap up with a new segment. Everyone's ready for it. It's pretty self-explanatory. It's called Call Room Confessions. So this is where we're gonna share some of the craziest and grimiest and perhaps sexiest stories from life on call. And in the future, we'd really love to share some listener submitted stories. But today, since we're just starting out, we're gonna give our own. And I don't know if Frances May knew that we were gonna do this, but I volunteered us to do this. So, do you wanna go first? I can go first.
No, honestly, I will go just to say that I feel like I said everything that there is to say because we took home call. So I did not stay at the hospital. I literally
The
just
whole
described.
time, like,
Yeah.
all 5 years?
You mean, like, never ever have I? I
Yeah,
I I
like, what
probably so I will say I've pulled all-nighters at the hospital, absolutely. Just but, like, if I was at the hospital working all night, I wasn't in a call room, I was just straight up working. There were nights where
mm,
I saw consults back to back, and I would take, like, a break in between the consult to go sit in the doctor's lounge at, like, 2 AM, 3 AM, 4 AM, eat.
and not try to go to sleep?
If it's under an hour, if it's even under 2 hours, I don't try to sleep. I try to muscle through it.
Really?
I'll just eat,
Wow.
like, 6 bags of Ruffles and drink 4
That's
Dr.
not a good
Peppers and
choice.
try to no, I mean, okay, but it's not great. I This isn't a life advice segment. I'm just saying, if I didn't have, like, a 3-hour block, I would not typically sleep, and if I had, like, a 3-hour block, like, "Okay, I just finished my work for the night, rounds aren't for 3 hours," I would honestly go home because I lived 10 minutes flat from the hospital, and I would always pick going home over the crummy public call rooms because ENT where I was didn't have a dedicated one either. So I mean, I could also go at 3 AM and they could all be taken. Like there wasn't a designated space, there wasn't protected space. So I was very much like a muscle through it and then suffer.
So you do not have any call room confessions? Damn. Well, I will tell you that in my residency program, we did have a call room,
Like just for you
and
guys? So
just
just
for
for the what,
ENT.
10 of you? Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
So we
that's
had
how I feel like you
one.
get into debauchery.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's the thing. So, like, we shared ours. Like, there was a bathroom connecting ours to, like, the gen surge call room, but we had our own. And so I had some story, but the one that comes to my head is not even my story. So I had a buddy, and she was in gen surge, and at some point, she was, like, hooking up with one of my senior residents, right? And they first, like, hooked up, like, in the ENT call room one night, and she's like real tall. And so she told him, like, hey man, these bunk beds aren't gonna work for me. Like, we can't be hooking up in the because like in our call rooms, we had bunk beds. And so like she was like, I can't be banging my limbs and my head on like the top bunk. Like, I'm not hooking up in this call room with you anymore. And then he was like, what? No way. Like, but I got the feelings for you and whatever. And she was like, yeah, no, get your life together. And so she told me a few days later, we were out getting a drink, and she was like, guess what? He invited me back to the call room. And apparently, um, in the last 2 days, he called maintenance and had them remove the top bed from the call room bed so that we could bang in this call room and I could be free not to bang my head on anything. And she thought it was about as romantic as
Yeah,
things can get in
pinnacle
the
of
hospital.
romance.
I was just like, you know what? I love this for both of you. I think that was a great move. I think you should make full use of that situation. So yeah, I think probably to this day, the ENT call room's the only one in that hospital without a top bunk
So it's the
because
sex
my
room.
colleague got it out of there. And now anybody who wants to, smash in the hospital, you know, look for look for that room.
Ladies, if he wanted to, he would.
He would.
This
Look
is a
what
busy resident. This man
you
is a
move
senior
mountains if you must.
ENT. It's a senior ENT resident. And these are the guys, you know, claim they don't have time for anything. He had time to come up with this plan
He
and then
had time.
enact the
He
plan.
hatched a scheme. Dudes, like that's what happened. That's what effort
That's
is
what you
looking like.
deserve. Yeah, as a
Yeah, that is what
woman,
you
like,
deserve.
yeah, we all deserve that.
Yes.
I like it. I'm here for it.
I had a feeling you would. I had a feeling you'd appreciate that level of effort. Um,
I feel like the hospital might hear this because we've blown up so hugely, and then they're going to be
we are
like,
very famous, yeah.
we're gonna reinstall that bunk. Like, that's a huge problem.
What
We can't have a
what a
sex
dick
room.
move that would be, right? Like,
I
come on,
mean,
guys. Like, that's what you want to be known for as a
that
hospital.
you took away the sex
You
room.
took away the sex room. You took joy out
The
of the
one good
lives.
thing we had going.
They had one thing, guys. One thing, vaginal pH is fluctuating. You don't have a lot of options. Timing is tough. Don't take this away from the kids. And with that, uh,
With
I think
that,
we've had another successful episode of the Social Rounds. Um,
exactly. We have to sign off for today, but if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, rate, leave us a review, and check out our website, Hippocratic-Collective, for more shows and content like this.
yes, everybody, we'll see you next week. It's been real. Have a good week.